This is David Mesker. This is Lone Star Drift. We're just about to start Drift Week. We're doing a bunch of interviews and having fun. You'll know David Mesker from Ebisu Trip. Drift Week 1.
Drift Week 2020!
Lone Star Drift. Pro-Am. Driving a bit of Formula D before he found out he didn't like sitting in your grid for 2 hours at a time. We're here with him. He brought his Drift Week 1 car. What do you want to talk about? Is there anything you've been passionate about or anything lately? Because we don't go to Drift, we're not going to Ebisu this year. We replaced Ebisu completely with Drift Week, which, I mean, my heart is in love with Ebisu, so I'm like 50-50, but
Drift Week is awesome and fun, but I'm really missing Ebisu. Yeah. Just because I miss my JZX, I miss my beer can. It's a little bit more fun because it has boost, whereas the Z doesn't have boost.
Yeah, but this just doesn't break.
Yeah, exactly, this just works.
So, after doing Drift Week 1, give me a synopsis of your Drift Week in a minute or so. How did Drift Week 1 go for you? What was the best part? What was the worst part? What was up with the car? What was up with you? Tell me.
So after Drift Week 1, all that I really had to replace was the power steering rack and then the lower control arm from hitting Luke.
No, tell me about what you had fun with.
What I had fun with?
Yeah, what did you like? What did you dislike? Things like that. The car's boring.
I like the tracks. All the kart tracks were really fun. I missed not having power at Indy, but other than that, all the tracks were amazing. The Burnyard was really cool. And then the drive home kind of sucked because I drove Adams and then I drove 18 hours straight home after drifting Adams all day.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that was rough. But it was fun.
All right, we need a better answer than that. That was kind of a broad answer. Let me help him with his interview and talk over him a ton.
Exactly.
So,
help me out.
What was the highlight of Drift Week? Like at Ebisu, let's say, the highlight for me is not taking your car home every night, leaving the car at the track, being in a beautiful place in the mountains, having all the access to tracks that are completely different than America with very little type of safety in the way they're built. Like Toge is something you would not see built in America. No. Like when I'm in Japan, I'm just in another planet enjoying drifting in a totally different way than here. There's just nothing like it here. Yeah. Do you agree? Yeah, so I was gonna say, so and you're on vacation, you can't do anything besides maybe edit video or do, for work-wise, you just can't work in Japan. So I'm just having fun the entire time, and I'm trapped with my friends. We have rental cars full of friends, and we're all staying in the same places. We're all eating at the same place, drinking at the same place, driving at the same place. Whereas at a normal drift event in the United States, you drive to the drift event separately of all your friends. You get there, you typically stay in a different hotel room than your friends. You're on track, and maybe your friends I don't know, I'm not always on track at the exact same time as my friends in America because it's harder because you're more pressed for time in a 1 or 2 day format to drive. Yeah. Whereas at Ebisu, we're always on track at the same time. Yep. We synchronize a lot better. So I would say that's my overview of that. And for Drift Week, for me, this whole interview is me. It's always like this.
It's always Aaron.
For my Drift Week experience, it was like being with the same group for an extended period of time, seeing them every night, eating with them every meal, chatting with them, sharing the experience a lot more than you do at a normal drift event. So we kind of created our own slice of Ebisu here. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree with that. It was more. I agree. Well, it was more basically just because everyone, we all just stayed together and all hung out, ate the same food. Sometimes we just have big group meals at the house, and that was really fun. And then just driving around and hanging out with everyone. So it was a little bit different than Ebisu because we all had got to drive our drift cars home, which sometimes at Ebisu I really want to just street drive the JZX back to the cabin,
Yeah. That would actually make Ebisu next level, is if we had nice enough JZX to drive around in Ebisu. Or in Nihonmatsu and the surrounding areas, that would take it to the next level. We could go drive up in the mountains and do all kinds of stuff. Even if we're not drifting in the mountains, you'd still go for a little night run or something. That would be next level. That's not going to happen though. No. And I have to say the rental cars are really fun there though.
Yeah, rental cars are fun. Yeah. You just keep it pinned the whole time.
And they don't break. So come up with a unique thought of what was it that's your favorite single thing about Drift Week?
I guess just driving the car totally independently and not really having to worry about a truck and trailer. Besides for transporting tires.
It's a very freeing feeling too. You get done at the end of the day, you're let's go do dinner, and you just jump in your car and drive off. And then I'm stuck with the staff picking up all the tires and everything and changing tires. Do you hate not having a truck and trailer at the Drift Week events, or is it pretty easy?
It's pretty easy because I'm bringing the Z. Like in the Skyline, I probably would have enjoyed it a lot too, but I would have been more worried because it's a turbo car and it's 30 years old. So that's always worrisome. And the truck and trailer is always just nice because they work 90% of the time. So.
It's a lot of extra equipment when you think about it. You're bringing more weight than the car by like multiple times, like physical things you're bringing. And it's kind of nice and it's whatever, but like the truck and trailer can break. You've got an extra 4 tires in the trailer to pop, your 6 tires. And your 18-wheeler thing, like you have, I guess, 18 wheels to tires and pop? Like you've had your 18-wheeler. Your 18-wheeler has failed on drifting trips more than your drift car has, this thing.
Well, actually, the truck itself hasn't failed.
No, but the lift gate stopped working,
and stuff,
like things like that.
Yeah.
Where the rig has caused you a lot of problems.
Yeah, true.
And you're someone that's really elevated your I don't like to say program, but like you have an 18-wheeler with the stacker rig with a door that comes down. Like the amount of equipment that you have that's drift specific in your life is painful to think about.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Well, how would you change this car? Because for like say Drift Week 3, because for Drift Week 2 you did no changes.
Yeah.
Nothing.
The only thing I did was put in a new diff bushing and align it.
And a new passenger seat, right?
Yeah, new passenger seat.
Look at this. You cannot see through the tent on this car. So he has 2 racing seats, a hydro handbrake, a steering wheel, show us around, a cage.
Yeah, cage built by Andy C. Housing. Just a ride seat with Takata 6-point harnesses.
A shoe.
Spare shoes.
Food.
Got to stay awake on the trip. Just munch the whole time.
And you started the journey in this car. You didn't trailer your car to the start line.
Yeah.
You drove this from Texas, right?
Yep. Yeah, I drove from Austin. So.
He came and dropped off his tires in my trailer in advance and then drove the thing. That's awesome. What's the angle kit?
The angle kit is just the PBM lower control arm kit. And then I also have their upper control arms, just so I could take some of the negative camber out of it, because once I wide bodied it, I didn't need to have 5.5 degrees of camber up front. So now it has like 3.5. I think what I would do power wise is probably like 3-inch intakes and a tune. I don't really want to put an exhaust on it because I hate the way
it's still stock intake, tune, and exhaust.
It's stock.
That's
everything
wild.
Drivetrain. Like there's nothing aftermarket on the drivetrain besides the clutch.
Does this thing ever not start when you turn the key?
No,
That's
it always starts.
an amazing feeling.
Like the only problems that I've had with it is when I first bought it, it wasn't driven that much, so the mass airflow sensors both went bad on the drive home. So it just was like spitting and sputtering, but then I replaced them and it has been fine ever since.
In your S13, how many times have you gone to go start it and it hasn't started?
Way too many times.
I couldn't imagine a Z doing that.
Yeah.
That's so nice. All right. Anything else? Like you have lots of little battle damage. He has wide body, not to fit giant wheels or anything, just because it's so dented up. He's replaced the doors.
Yeah, the doors have been replaced like 3 times. And then the wide body is just because it is very beat up underneath. So that makes it look nice.
You need door wide body.
Yeah, I do need door wide body. But the polyurethane, just like the stock stuff, is so great. Or like the KVD side skirts, you can just destroy them.
So what are you looking forward to on Drift Week 2? Why did you do it? Let's say that. This is an expensive trip.
Did I do it?
It's a lot of time away from your life. Yes. Why do you do it? Go.
I did it just because I've been quarantined from coronavirus this whole summer. So I literally just didn't leave Colorado.
Did you have coronavirus?
No.
Oh, you just quarantined for it?
Yeah, just quarantined for it so I wouldn't get it. But I basically just didn't do anything at all summer. So this is my one time I get to go out drifting. I'll just go for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So
I love the concept of, if I want to go do a bunch of tracks out of state, I'm sure somebody's already heard me say this a bunch of times, because you drive out of state all the time. If you want to go drive at multiple tracks, you'd have to do on a weekend, a full weekend between, a weekend, a full weekend between, and a weekend. So if you're to go drive 3 different places, you'd have to be gone for the time to get there, the time to get back. That's no less than 3 weeks probably of time to go do 3 tracks. And we're doing, how many did we do at Drift Week 1? 7 or 8 track days?
Yes.
Whatever it was. We did all that within 2 weeks. So we're doing so much track time at so many different places and covering so much different ground. I love it. It's different.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So you just get so much driving in. But it is hectic.
Yeah, it's very
real hectic.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else that you're excited about lately?
don't know, just trying to figure life out.
Yeah.
That's
Just going on Drift Week instead.
Yeah, exactly.
How about, tell us about your Formula D career. You did Formula D for a little while and then quit.
Yeah, so I did Formula D for a little bit, and I just kind of realized I didn't like having to qualify in competition. I realized I like just driving the cars more rather than having to just have like a big dick contest with everyone else.
But you put so much effort into getting there.
Yeah.
Years of effort.
Yeah, that's because that was my dream at one point in time, and then once I achieved that dream, I realized it wasn't exactly what I wanted.
Oh my God.
So,
but
that was a good experience.
There is something to say for cutting your losses when you find out, it's not what you want. Imagine like buying a brand new Corvette or, whatever it is that you want, like a GT500, and then realizing you don't enjoy it, but you're too like, you can't hurt your own ego, or like you can't talk yourself out of it, or there's a sunken cost fallacy. Like, I bought this thing, I might as well enjoy it. Nah, like kill it. Get it out of your life. Who cares if you're going to lose a bunch of money or something? Why pay on that $100,000 Mustang for another 10 years or whatever they do loans for?
Right.
Like, that's crazy. Whereas a lot of people, like, you built a Formula D car and now you just have it and like, what do I do with it? But like, at least you're not continuing with something you didn't want to do.
Yeah.
Because for some people, it absolutely is a life. They love that stuff. I don't think either of us love that.
Yeah, no, I just like driving.
Could you imagine going to... I'm cutting him off.
No, you're good.
But imagine if we went to Ebisu and every lap you had to sit in your car for 30 minutes with your helmet on before you took a lap.
I would not go there anymore.
Even though it's our favorite traction in the world, what if Toge was like that? You just had to sit at the bottom of Toge
for 30 minutes.
For 30 minutes and just there was a little start-stop light and you just had to wait until somebody told you to go. You'd quit.
Yeah, I would quit.
You'd quit.
Immediately.
Oh, man. God, that would be awful.
Terrible.
What also if they made you sit in track and grid at Toge in full racing suit, Hans device, arm restraints? Because you hear people all the time online like, racing needs all the safety gear. I'm sure you've heard that a lot.
Yeah.
They're like, you should have all that stuff and you should have everything. You're like, I'll quit, I guess.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to do that. Yeah.
No,
all
I feel
right.
that.
Well, anything else you're passionate about or you want to talk about? No,
not really.
You like stock Z's. I love stock Z's.
Stock Z's, except I'd want a little bit more power.
Yeah.
If the HR ever lets go, I'll probably just put a 1J in it.
It'll break.
Yeah, it probably would break. Unless I just do a VVTi 1J stock turbo. Stock ECU.
It probably won't be any faster, though.
No, it'll probably be the exact same. It'll just sound cooler.
Yeah. Well...
It actually might be slower because the motor might weigh more.
Who's gonna be the best car on Drift Week? We got to talk about something Drift Week related. What's the best car that you'd want to drive on Drift Week? We're standing here in a parking lot of them right now.
Probably Ian's Corvette, just because I know he's done a lot of maintenance to it, so it should be proper.
So like a mild Corvette with like 460 wheel.
Yeah,
that's within your grasp. You could have that.
Yeah. I almost got one for this Drift Week.
Really?
And I just decided to take the Z instead because I already have it.
And it's no nonsense. It's going to work.
Yeah, exactly.
The crazy thing about the Zs as well is you could just go Craigslist one and probably swap all your stuff over in a day or two and just like continue the trip. That would be easier than like motor swapping the Corvette. They're almost the same price if you think about it. And God, stock cars are so weird when you think about them that way.
Obviously, Adam's JZX100.
Yeah, that's just baller though.
Yeah, that's just because I have a soft spot for those cars. So,
how about the driver's list for Drift Week? Does it entice you that we're driving with like YouTubers and stuff? No. It's the same thing for me, by the way. All the YouTubers are just my friends, and I know that they have the ability and the funds and the time off to go do it. So it's the people we travel with, which is the same thing with you. You have a lot of personal income. I wouldn't say income, but like you have money and you have time off, so you end up coming to do the things we do, regardless of whether we hang out outside of drifting or like each other at all.
Yeah.
It's just like, he can afford to go on the same trip as me. Let's go hang out, David. And then David's like, I'm not going to sleep in the same room as you. He's like, I don't actually like Aaron.
Aaron's a great guy. He's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
He's my drift dad.
That's what he says in front of me. All right. Oh, all right. Very last thought. So I invited you to Ebisu. Remember that? And I was like, this is going to change your life. It's going to be something that like wasn't that the specific words I used, is I'm going to make you love drifting or something like that? Was that the first time I met him? By the way, in editing, this might edit forward, so you might cut this. So this might be the intro. When I met David Mesker, the first thing I think I said to you guys was, he is not having fun. He looks miserable. He is not enjoying drifting. He's here for all the weird reasons, and he should come to Japan with me, and I'm never gonna talk to him if he doesn't. I said something like that, didn't I?
Yeah.
I was like, I will never talk to you if you don't come to Japan and show me you love drifting because you have the ability and funds to do it. And he did it, and it was the coolest experience ever.
Yeah.
And then it took me 5 years to create an experience that was, I'm not saying this is better than the Japan trips, but like equal in the scope and the way that it's an adventure and everything. Now we have Drift Week, which is our same big group of people that have the ability and funds to go do this with time off and everything. And this is every bit as interesting as the Ebisu trips to me. We of course don't have dank raw men on the side of a mountain, but I mean, like, Ebisu just is different. What is the next big adventure we could do? Like, we both have funds to go do adventures. All we have to do is think of them. Why don't we think up new things to go do? You just wait for me to do it.
Yeah, exactly. I just wait for you to do it.
But what could we, if you were to pitch me on an idea like an adventure, because I pitched you on Drift Week and I pitched you on Japan. That's exactly what I did, didn't I?
Yeah.
And I actually pitched you and said, don't drive FD, do this other stuff with me. And then you ended up kind of going my path of what I love with drifting, that's why we get along, I think.
Yeah.
What's the next thing we could do? Pitch me an idea. Let's go do something. Pitch me an idea.
I mean, once all the restrictions get lifted and stuff, we could do something in like another country.
Like what?
I don't know, either go to Europe or...
When we go to Europe, though, we're just going to drive like one day in a borrowed car.
Yeah.
Like, how do we make it better? Like, when I went over with Tomas, they built a car for me, let me take it street drifting, took it to a track, and it was rad, but we only drove on track for 2 days. When we travel, like, I want to drive like 8 days.
Yeah.
Like, I want to drive a lot. How do we make that happen?
Go over to Russia and figure something out over there.
Yeah? Get thrown in jail, get stabbed. No, come on, what can we do?
I don't know, that's what I'm trying to... I would say kind of like another Ebisu trip, but I don't really know too many
There's
other...
nowhere else on earth like Ebisu.
Right.
All right, so you don't have any ideas?
Not yet.
I have to come up with something else. Because I have my Lone Star Drift events, we have our normal series, and I can't expect normal humans to take weeks off of work.
Yeah.
That's not what that is. This is Drift Week and Ebisu trips are different things that you have to have people with a lot of money, disposable income. You have to have people with, or disposable trust funds, or people, I made Sai laugh, or time off. Don't be ashamed that your family loves you.
Yeah.
Everybody wish that we had families that loved them to leave them money. God. People are like, oh, piece of crap. Trust fund kids. I'm like, I wish somebody loved me. Whatchamacallit? Time off of work is important. And then you have to have a way to wrap it together. And nowadays, I do it pretty well with YouTube and like inviting Adam or inviting Herd or Hoonigan or all these different things. We have to wrap it in like a thing with that too. Otherwise, it costs too much money to do everything because we subsidize things with media. And in the grand scheme of things, Drift Week is expensive, but it's still cheaper to do this than one round of Pro 2.
Yeah.
By a lot.
Yeah, it is.
Because considering this car has lasted longer than your S13, and how do you say that? The S13 is more expensive to run for one event than this thing costs its entire like build process and
Pretty
purchasing
much,
and stuff. All right, I think we're done. We didn't come up with the next thing. Audience, this is not like a huge call out for YouTube subscribes and likes and everything, but really comment and tell me what a better experience is than Ebisu or like Drift Week or these things, because we really do want to go have experiences around the world, anywhere we can, where we can drift a lot. Like, it needs a lot of drifting, not just like an afternoon or not just 2 days.
Just go and take over Luke Fink's track.
But even then, it's one track.
Yeah, it's only one track.
Yeah, and Luke Fink, they can only run that track a couple days a month or something like that. They have sound restrictions in Australia, so they can't drive there that much. And that track, I think, it looks cool. No offense, Luke, but we would get bored on it really fast.
Yeah.
We would just start totaling cars or something, which I assume
there's
is
a
what
lot
he does.
of walls. So.
But we could go do that.
Yeah.
That actually sounds like a good plan. Okay, video's over. If you guys can think of anything, tell me. Do you have anything to say? I talked over you.
No, you're good.
Yeah, he's so quiet.
I like to stay silent.
All right, boom. Let's go drive.